Poised for Exit is a show for business owners who want to achieve a successful exit based on their own terms. Your business exit will likely be the biggest financial transaction of your life, and for most, you'll have one shot at doing it right. The topics and guests we feature and the stories they share will provide valuable ideas and strategies to improve operations and grow enterprise value so you can achieve the best possible exit outcome. Now here's your host, award-winning certified exit planning advisor, Julie Keys.
Welcome, everybody, to Poised for Exit, the Exit Planning Podcast Show. Our guest today is the founder of an HR services company who's authored several books for entrepreneurs, is going to talk with us today about how human capital actually impacts the business transition. We're going to hear from him right after we hear from our show sponsors, so please stay with us.
Are you a business owner getting ready to transition? If so, I recommend True North Mergers and Acquisitions as your confidential strategic partner. They understand your business sale isn't just about one buyer and the price, but what you net that counts. In other words, what you get to keep. When you're ready for a higher level of representation that delivers consistent results, contact True North M&A to do the heavy lifting of selling your business. Learn more at tnma.com. That's tnma.com.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, certified exit planning advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
For business owners, it can be overwhelming to start planning a transition or exit strategy, but it's so important to avoid unwanted outcomes and unexpected tax bills. The CPAs at JAK, John A. Knutson & Company, can guide you and help make sense of the numbers. Our firm was established over 90 years ago, and we've assisted countless companies with ownership transitions. Leaving your business is a process that takes time. So contact us today to discuss your situation. Visit our website at jakcpa.com. That's jakcpa.com.
My name is Todd Crow, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Hello, everyone. Our guest today is the founder of an HR services company, and he is here with us virtually in the studio. His name is Chuck Cooper, and he is a founder and consultant with Whitewater Consulting Group. He's also an author, multi-author. I don't know how many books you've written, Chuck. And he just brings a really unique perspective to the exit planning space as an HR consultant and as a person or a company, I should say, that delivers lots of different types of HR services. And, you all know, you listeners, because I've been sharing that with you a lot lately about how much I've used professional HR services for my clients over the last few years. It's, it goes way beyond a handbook, right, Chuck?
Yes, it really does, Julie.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there's so much there, and it really does impact the value of the business, as I said in the show opener. So we're going to talk about how it impacts the business. But Chuck, I just want to say welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. It's great having you.
I really appreciate the opportunity. We've gotten to spend some time together over the last couple of months, and so I've been really looking forward to our conversation today.
Definitely. Well, like I always start the show, I like to have my guests share just a little bit about your background and kind of how did you get to where you are now in this space and as a consultant and as an exit planner?
It's been a long journey. It's been almost 30 years of being in and out of operations as far as owning and operating small and mid-sized companies. I grew up in a family-owned business in the Midwest and was third generation with that business. And so I was able to see really firsthand how businesses operated and really, saw it much more than just a profit center for the business itself, but I was able to see it from the personal side as far as how business can impact and affect family relationships, and also to see how it really is able to really benefit the small communities that we were a part of. So that was kind of the grounding for me, and really the start of where my passion for working with small and mid-sized family-owned businesses came from. And then over the years, once that business was sold, I've had the opportunity again to be involved at the ownership level, I think of 5 other companies along the way. And I in 1999 relocated from Illinois to Charlotte, North Carolina, where really kind of began a whole new chapter of life for us at that point for our family. And so it was at that point that I really started getting involved, really with a focus on HR services for small and mid-sized companies, which has ultimately led me to the starting of a company today called Whitewater Consulting, where we do HR consulting and succession planning for our clients, which are small and mid-sized and family-owned businesses across the U.S.
Fantastic. And you've recently published a book called The Family Business Blueprint. So how does that roll into the work that you're doing? It probably is obvious, but I'm asking anyway because I don't want to assume.
Well, sure. No, it's a great question. And what's really kind of interesting is if I would have had the conversation with you 5 years ago and you would have asked me the question, would you even have interest in writing a book? The answer would have been a very definitive no. When COVID hit, obviously it gave a lot of us a lot of extra bandwidth. And so I took that time to start to write, and I wrote my first book, which was called Unprecedented. And it was written for business owners, helping them in the areas of leadership, HR, and really focusing in on the culture and people development for their companies.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting, Julie, that book led me to have the opportunity to speak at Georgetown University, where we spoke to an entrepreneurship intensive. And the question that came out of that group of students that afternoon was, my parents have invested their entire life into building a very, very successful business. And there is this expectation that I'm going to be the next generation coming in to take it over. And the reality is, I don't want anything to do with their business. And I'm struggling with how to have that conversation with my parents. And so, what was really interesting, that wasn't a business strategy question at all, but that really came back to kind of identity and really looking at the importance of, how we go from one generation to the next, that legacy that gets created and the communications between the generations within a business. And so I saw that as an opportunity. So in 2023, I started doing some research, and we actually surveyed just over 1,400 businesses in the U.S. in 2023, and we found from those surveys that 70% of those businesses did not have a succession or any kind of an exit plan in place. And when you combine that with the fact that 70% of businesses are failing between the founder and the second generation, and you put on top of that approximately 80% of businesses put up for sale today are not selling, that was a clear indicator to me that as someone that grew up in a family business, I couldn't just sit idly by. And so we chose to take the information and write the second book, which is The Family Business Blueprint.
Wow. And you talk about succession planning then as an act of love. And so does that stem from the story that you just shared with the second gen or third gen saying not interested? I mean, that has to be a really tough conversation, and I'm sure you facilitate a lot of them.
We've gone through and we facilitated a lot of those conversations. I think, Julie, the one story that really stands out to me as far as the act of love, one of the business owners I spoke to as we were doing our surveying and doing the due diligence for the book was actually another business owner that was in the Midwest. And I called him in the month of August of 23, and it was in his busiest time of the year. And his response to me was, no, I don't have a plan in place to I'm the founder of the company. I've grown it from basically from zero to where we're doing about 27 to 28 million a year in revenue. I've got 3 kids and I need to get something put in place. I just haven't had the time or haven't taken the time to do it. But please call me back in January and we will start the process. Before I could call him back in January, he calls me and says, I told you on our first phone call that I should have started earlier. I'm calling you today to let you know that I need to start and I need to start now. I've been diagnosed, I've got stage 3 cancer. I don't know what the time remaining is, but I need to get this done. So we worked through from that the following week. We worked every week from that moment until August of 23, working on creating a succession plan for him. And you could see on the video, I mean, you could see that he was continuing to decline over those last couple of months, but he was so committed to doing whatever he had to do or could do to get this plan put in place that when he called me in early August of that year, he said, I've got everything done. The documents are signed, communications have been handled. Everyone knows kind of what their roles and responsibilities are. And I feel really good about the plan that we've got. And literally 7 days to that moment, he calls me back and he says, my family's putting me into hospice tomorrow. Just want to call and say thank you again. 10 days later, his wife calls, he's gone. So that he was so committed to getting this done and he was so focused on his family. He wanted to make sure that his wife and his kids, his employees were all taken care of.
Well, and my gosh, what a blessing that he actually had the time, because that doesn't always happen.
True.
I have had, I can think of one in particular that did not have that time at all. Like he died on the operating table.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, before we even got started. So, yeah. And he knew he waited too long. And for the business owners listening out there, that I love that you call it an act of love. No, I really do, because that's what it is, right? We kind of sterilize business sometimes and we put it in a box and we have this linear process, and it's all of this professionalism, of course, and process and operations and all those things are very important, but at the end of the day, we're still talking about people.
Yes, and whether you're talking whether it's a family-owned business or not, we are still
Yeah.
talking about people, and we're talking. If we don't have another generation, we're talking about the employees. We're talking about your customers. We're talking about the community that you're a part of. All of that is made up of people. So yes.
And those people make or break a successful transition, right? So let's talk about how much culture impacts a successful transition, the smooth handoff, in other words.
I think culture is just one of those things that for so many years, at least from my experience and with the companies that we were involved with, culture it really wasn't on the radar as far as being something that added great value to the company. And I think that changed for me anyway. That has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. And I think, again, probably COVID was a clear marker where there was a real focus at that point on people and on culture and the importance of it. But I think when you look at culture today, I think if it's done well and things are going well, it's the wind at your back as a business. It's just moving you, I mean, without as much effort. But if you don't have a good culture, it's also it's similar to having a weight tied around your ankles. And you just have to work so much harder to try to make some progress. So I think culture is one of those things that it makes all the difference in that transition and change as far as the confidence of your people. It makes things so much easier for the next leader coming in as well, if they're able to continue that culture, and it gives them really a much smoother track to start from. And I think the third thing it does is it allows you to, as a company, it really allows you to really pay tribute to your past, but also begin to look forward to the future, and really helps your organization be able to innovate and be able to think outside the box on how you can become better.
Yes. Yeah, and we could talk a lot more about culture, and we'll have to do that another time. But suffice it to say, it really is important for people to believe and know that what they have to say matters and that they're on a team. of other people who are we're all rowing in the same direction, or at least trying to, right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, because the next question is a question that has come up for me in the work that I do in strategic planning. And that is, when a business owner says something like, well, I'd really like to pass the business on to one of my kids, but I don't have anybody that's ready to step up or interested in stepping up. What do you recommend? Where do they start?
Well, we both know, Julie, that is one of the greatest challenges for small and mid-sized business owners, is the fact that the business is so dependent on them oftentimes. And so they have not really spent the time to invest in people and really spent the time or resources to invest in that next level of leadership. And so when the business owner tells me that they don't have anyone, my initial comment is, that's fine. We need to start with you. Because if you've not spent the time to really develop other leaders, we need to focus back in on you to help you understand. You really become introspective and look at, where are your strengths, where are the gaps, where are the opportunities here to help you change your perspective and become someone that's going to become committed to learning and growing your own skill sets. Because if you can do that yourself, then you can start to model that and teach that to the next generation.
And even if the next generation isn't going to be stepping up, at least they have kind of a blueprint, like you reference in your book, where they can embrace the truth of the situation they're in and get themselves set up for success for whoever it is that's going to take over, even if it ends up being an external sale.
Yeah, it really is. I think that is really, one of the greatest opportunities that there is. What I typically see, though, is if we can work with the business owners to help them start down that path, and they have a mindset change where we go from being the operator to being more of the one that becomes a coach, and really focus on developing, and really has a passion now for developing people and raising people up. What we start to see is they begin to either delegate differently, they begin to either delegate or they begin to delegate differently when they have that mindset change. And so they become that coach, and they're passionate about really teaching that next generation or next set of leaders about how to lead. And we give them the opportunity to practice what's being taught to them, which helps that next group really develop their skills. So all of those things are really best practices to help the organization continue to grow and be relevant, for the foreseeable future.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's a process for sure. So, well, it's been great. I have more questions for you, but we've run out of time. So
No.
we'll just have to do it again and in the future. Any last, like a quick tip for the listener out there, as it relates to some of the things that you've seen or that you're doing right now for your clients?
Julie, I think that there's probably two things, especially. One is, I think that I really want to encourage the listeners to start to get curious about what succession and or what exit planning could look like for them. And I think that means just really starting to think through, what do you want from that? What do you want if you were to create a succession plan or an exit plan? What do you want from the business? And start to talk about that maybe with your spouse or with your kids or your leadership team, and start to bring your advisors into that conversation so you can start to put a plan in place. And I think it's not just an event. This is a process that we're talking about. So don't just expect you're going to have something created and done in the next 30 or 60 days. This oftentimes can be a multi-year process that you would be going through. And the second thing is, if there's any area over the next 3 years that you can make an investment and get the best return on those dollars, it's going to be to invest in your people. That's probably one of the greatest opportunities I see today, is the fact that the mid-level managers, they need help, they need additional resources, they need coaching and training. And so invest in those people so that you can raise them up, they can become better at what they're doing. And again, it's going to have an impact on the valuation of your business.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Chuck. And thank you for being on the show and sharing your wisdom with us. And we will have your website links in the show notes so that people can get a hold of you. And thank you so much to our listeners. Please join us again next time.